Hi everybody, meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. It is 7:15 Eastern Time on Wednesday, March 7th. We are seeing the nor'easter wind down. It's been quite the adventure today with regards to snow, rain, and thunderstorms that have occurred. So I'm going to jump right off the bat to the latest radar, and we can see the back edge of this finally starting to get out of the way. It is pulled out of eastern Pennsylvania and southwestern New Jersey, and actually also in northwestern New Jersey. But we do have the back edge here that is swinging eastward now through eastern New Jersey and New York City, and also some snow that's backing westward over Long Island, still getting some reports of some heavy snows and some whiteout conditions, snowing across much of Connecticut and on up through the Hudson Valley, although much of what you see here is on the western side has lightened up somewhat. I'm going to just pull a couple of weather observations here and see what we got with regards to the actual visibilities and intensities. Sometimes the radar can be a bit deceptive, but looking at the 7 o'clock observations, we still have moderate snow going on in and around New York City, Teterboro Airport, half a mile. That's on the Jersey side. Moderate at Kennedy with a quarter of a mile. We have light snow being reported at Central Park in Midtown, a visibility there of 1 mile. Newark, 3/4 in light snow. On Long Island, moderate snow at MacArthur Airport, Islip, half a mile visibility. Light snow at Farmingdale now. Light snow at Shirley. West Hampton was actually raining for a good part of the day, and now they've got some snow there. Hudson Valley, light snow in White Plains. A lot of other stations not reporting. Other areas in New Jersey at 7 o'clock. Caldwell, heavy snow, a quarter of a mile there. Newark, 3/4, as we said. Teterboro, moderate. Sussex, light snow, a mile visibility. They should be just about done. Flurries in Trenton. Belmar on the coast reporting some light snow and some leftover flurries at Toms River. Philadelphia is done. Allentown, Scranton, done. We've seen some snow amounts in the northern part of the state, upwards to a foot to a foot and a half in some places. One of the things that occurred with this was the fact that we lost some of the accumulating snow during the daytime because of the effect of the sun angle for about 5 hours. It actually started snowing in most areas between noon and 1 o'clock, and the first few hours of that didn't really accumulate very much in some areas. Inland areas that were more rural, were able to accumulate rather quickly, and as opposed to the urban areas or in and around New York City, any place that has is near an urban area or in a busy area with a lot of street traffic, didn't really see the snow accumulate until later in the day. After about 3 o'clock, the sun angle stops working, and as the sun gets lower in the sky, so the snow started to accumulate at that point. So overall, I think that this system actually performed fairly well to expectations. In some cases, I think a little bit above expectations. We now can start to look ahead a little bit. I'm not going to go too long on the video tonight because, frankly, I'm tired. So we'll run it through you. So here's the late afternoon GFS, the storm center to the east of New Jersey and south of Long Island. And remember, we spoke about the fact that this was key here, that the low center would get only so far north and then pull out to the east, and that would allow cold air to drain southward, and it indeed worked out that way. The short-range weather models, the NAM, the RGEM, all doing rather well, although they all hiccuped with keeping the system too far to the west. The GFS was a big fail, again showing rain way too far north and west of the low center until the last minute, and then it finally recognized that the atmosphere was cold enough. The European didn't come alive with its snow amounts until last night, when it suddenly had giving everybody double-digit amounts. So basically, I don't think the European was very useful either. The Canadians kind of split 50-50, I guess, because of the fact that just 2 days ago it had this whole thing going out to sea to the south without a flake, a raindrop, or an ice pellet. So this is storm system in one form or another is going to hang around in the eastern part of the United States for a couple of days. So that's going to bring in some clouds. But you'll notice already there's, as we go into the weekend, and this is Saturday night, we've got rain in the central Gulf states on north and westward up into the plains. And that is the next low that is going to make a run for the coast. And you can see it here along the Carolina coast Sunday during the early morning hours on Monday. And I think it's going to be another issue of how far north it gets, and models are kind of mixed on this, but I'm going to leave the jury out for a while. Things, as we, in the weather world, a lot of times things don't repeat exactly, but they do tend to rhyme, so I'm going to be suspicious here with this, with regards to whether it makes it up, how far west it's going to get, that perhaps the models are still too far offshore. During the day today, we've seen model runs kind of go back and forth on this idea. So we're going to give it another 24 hours to settle down, but we'll give a quick look at the upper air and see if we can get some clues here regarding the long range. And you can see this trough in the east, the next trough that swings around. So the upper low that's east of the New Jersey coast is our storm that we're dealing with now. There's another strong upper low near the Great Lakes that it's rotating around. That plays itself through over the next 2 days. And then we get the next shortwave energy. You can see it here dropping from Kansas on southward into Texas. And that swings around as some northern energy gets involved. You see this trough that's dropping down from central Canada down into the western Great Lakes. So there's a matter of, does it phase or does it not phase? And I think that's a big question. Some runs it phases, some runs it stays separate. We do have a ridge building up in the west for the first time in a while. So the Pacific North America Index is likely to go positive, and we still have some blocking in eastern Canada here. So the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, is going to be negative. And if you look at the structure of the upper air here, it's actually not that different from what we have right now, with an upper low sitting in the Great Lakes and energy that's rotating around it. The trough axis is a little bit further to the east this time around, so that might be the reason why the model has the storm that's developing over the weekend and moving up along the east coast early next week, a little further offshore. But I would be really careful with this. There isn't a lot of room for error. If this upper trough in the Great Lakes is a little bit further to the west, you might see this energy rotate closer to the coast. And don't be surprised if the next any one of the next several series of model runs shows that happening. And then it does pretty much the same thing. The Great Lakes trough then swings out. And then as we go in the longer range, you still got it's not quite a blocky look, but you still have general troughing in the east, and you still have some general ridging in the west. So at the very least, we may have one more opportunity for another weather event here in the eastern part of the United States. And of course, with that system moving across the south in the Gulf states, there's likely to be some severe weather over the weekend in the central Gulf states. So that's something that we'll probably also pay attention to over the next couple of days. But these systems that we're dealing with here, it's like I said, it's tiring after a while. So I'm just going to come to the boards here and join you guys for a quick chat. Orlando Figueroa, the Weather Service got it wrong, but ended up redeeming themselves for the last forecast here. Okay, Orlando, just be a little specific, if you would. Where exactly did it get it wrong? My buddy Phil Bazanka, one of my fishing buddies, and really good friend, by the way, 8 or 9 inches in Rocky Point. Some areas on Long Island on the North Shore did quite well with this, and of course there's still some snow going on there as we speak. Overachieved, Brandon. Yes, it did. One of the things this is a good example in terms of forecasting. I tried to stick with this east motion idea until yesterday afternoon, when I kind of threw in the towel, and I had this sinking feeling when I did that the very next run was going to show things going back the other way, and sure enough, that's what happened. So I kind of had to backtrack at that point, but it was a little bit too late for the coastal areas. The inland areas were always going to do well with this, and they did. And in fact, the snow actually outperformed down into southern New Jersey, particularly as you went west into southern New Jersey, west of the Garden State Parkway and into southwest New Jersey. There were some sizable amounts there on the order of 5-6 inches, and even down into parts of northern Delaware, I saw some 5-6 inch amounts that occurred. And of course, we had the MJM tree service with lightning, thunder. You had lightning hit houses and 2 people. My God, the thunderstorms that developed out of this were amazing. But we were dealing with a tremendous amount of energy. The models were all clear on that, particularly the your short range models did well. Gordon Meyer, I thank you for the kind words, and yes, I will eventually put an end to this and go home. Snow in the Bronx was heavy, then melted for about 2 hours. Yeah, right around the middle of the day, it was problematic. You know, this is the thing this time of year. If it's going to snow during the daytime, you need to have the temperatures, at the very least, you've got to have temperatures down in the mid to upper 20s. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems. And unless it's snowing really, really hard, and that didn't quite happen until early afternoon, it's going to be tough to accumulate. I know where I was today in southeastern Westchester County, which doesn't have a lot of elevation. During the early part of the afternoon, we snowed rather steadily for about 2 or 3 hours, and if it was a month ago, we would have had 2 or 3 inches of accumulation pretty quickly. But a lot of that, we had a coating, and then anything that fell on top of that sort of melted into it. Once we passed the 3 o'clock hour and it snowed hard, then the snow did accumulate, and we have, where I am, about 4 or 5 inches. But if you go west and south of here, where there's a lot of elevation, a lot of hills, on the other side of those hills, there was double the snow amounts. And yes, the Catskills got spared a beating equivalent to what they got last Friday, but snows did make it pretty far up the Hudson Valley. Raymond, I haven't looked at specific numbers. Robert Hurley, 3.5 inches in Bethpage. Variability on Long Island is going to exist here. Shelly Man Studios, 5 to 6 right now where you are. And definitely heart attack snow, William Huber. Very, very hard to move. Port Jeff, Brandon has almost 9. Wow, that is that's amazing. Long Island actually considering what took place with the low tracking the way it did, it opened the door for heavier accumulations for the coastal areas, and Long Island did get into the thick of it, although it did take a while for it to get going there. So we do, by the way, Seth, yes, there are power outages. A lot of areas in the Hudson Valley in New Jersey have not gotten over a lot of places still don't have power from the nor'easter from last Friday, and the number of people without power now is going back up again because of this, because of the storm today. It wasn't so much the wind, the heavy wet snow now bringing down some tree branches and some power lines in a few places, and this is just adding to the problems. Chris Alley got thunder snow in Lindenhurst, and you also had some tidal flooding, by the way. The tidal flooding has been a problem all week long, especially not so much on the ocean side, but on the back bays. It has been coming in with almost every high tide, and even though we're now 6 days away from the last full moon and going into the first quarter, which is a lower tide cycle, the water has been just piled into the coast and has not really had a chance to move out. So the high tides are still coming in and causing problems, and we may actually see that again overnight and during the day tomorrow. Danielo Yakubov, branches snapping. I've been hearing reports of that, 5 to 6 inches on the ground where you are, 5 to 9 up in Cohos, near the near the Albany area for Raymond. Reaver 501, the GFS is definitely not to be trusted. There are obviously some problems with the GFS regarding how it sees snow and rain in its long range, and even in its short range. It has had it's having difficulties seeing the difference between rain and snow. So, look, I hope everybody had a very good day. If you're a snow freak, you probably you got a bonus in a lot of areas. We will going to take a bit of a break here. At this point, I'm going to keep the video short tonight. So you can check out website posts on meteorologist joechaffee.com. By the way, I just want to mention, if you do shop on Amazon, if you link to Amazon via my website or from my Facebook page, it's a nice way to say thanks, I guess is the best way to put it, and I would really appreciate it. Doesn't cost you a dime if you just shop through Amazon through that link. Amazon gets me a little bit back so I can get a cigar and a cup of coffee, and it doesn't cost you a cent because you're buying whatever you were going to buy anyway. So if you want to use it, go right ahead. Again, there's one on my Facebook page, and if not there, I have Amazon links on my website. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go get some rest. I still got some TV to do for the next couple of hours. We will talk about the next one tomorrow. Figure maybe around 6 o'clock Eastern Time. The Joe Cioffi Show is going to be on at its regularly scheduled time at 9:15 Eastern Time.